This is Austin Real Estate Investing.
Austin Real Estate Investing.
We'll be discussing real estate investing in Austin, Texas, and bringing you experts from all different sectors of the real estate game. Your host, Jordan Moorhead, is a real estate agent and investor in Austin and is here to help you get started or to build your portfolio and explore new strategies.
This is Jordan Moorhead, and this is the Austin Real Estate Investing Podcast. Today we're doing a special episode on how you can make house hacking work for you in today's market. So speaking of today, when today is, we're filming this towards the end of the year here in 2022, November 1st. The interest rates are now over 7%. Austin's kind of gotten hit with a double whammy, so interest rates have gone way up. Also in Austin, property taxes have gone way up. Of course, everybody knows prices have gone way up. So add those all together, and that means the mortgage payments have gone way up. So what everybody's asking us here right now is, hey, how can I still house hack? Is it even possible? If it is possible, how do I do it? And today we're going to go over that. So I've got Connor Olsen here with me. Both Connor and I house hack. We both have house hacked for a few years here now in Austin, and we're going to share what's working for us and what we're seeing work for our clients here in Austin right now. Hey, Connor, how are you?
Doing great, Jordan. How are you doing?
Doing awesome. Thanks for coming back on here again, and thank you for talking about a subject that's very popular in our industry and very close to my heart with house hacking. Love house hacking. I've been house hacking since 2016. I plan on house hacking for the foreseeable future. So I don't know when that's going to be over, but I've had different iterations of that, and I've had it work amazingly at every point in the market and in every point in my life. So I know today is much different than it was 6 years ago, for all the reasons that I mentioned earlier. So if somebody's looking to house hack right now, the first question, the bigger question is it possible?
Yeah, so it definitely is possible right now to house hack. Your house hacks today are very different than they were in 2019 or 2020. You have to be a little more uncomfortable. You have to put in more work today, and your mortgage payment's going to be higher. So you have to put in a little more effort to get similar results. So in the Bigger Pockets community, there's this idea that you could just buy a duplex, live in one half, rent out the other half, and make cash flow every month while you're living there. That wasn't true in Austin in 2019, and it's definitely not true in 2022. So you have to have some expectations going in that, your rent, your mortgage payment that you will have to cover while you're living in a property will be less than the equivalent rent that you would have to pay, and it's still possible to cash flow on the way out. So just know that it is still possible, but kind of the returns have changed for the reasons that you mentioned just before.
Yeah, and I think, before we get too far deep into this, you mentioned at the end there that, hey, it's still very possible to live for less than you would be paying somebody else, and you still can cash flow when you move out. I think those are the most important things. So just the benefits of house hacking and why we're talking about house hacking and why I love house hacking and why so many other people do too, is with house hacking, you get all the benefits of buying property, which are, it gets to appreciate, you get to pay down the loan, you get tax benefits, and over time, it's just an amazing investment. So that you're buying a house has made the middle class here in America. And with house hacking, you get to participate in that, but you also get cash flow when you move out, which is awesome. You get this cash flow when you move out. When you move out, you also get more tax benefits. People don't talk about that all the time. Talk to your accountant, of course, but you get more tax benefits because you're able to depreciate the property. And the more times you house hack, the less you pay in taxes overall. So it's really a great deal. I love it. And over time, of course, rent grows. So, people talk about, real estate made the middle class. Buy a house, you're going to build all this wealth off it. What if you house hack 3 or 4 or 5 times? Then it's amazing. And that's why people get so excited about it. And that's why I'm so excited about it. Because if you want to be a millionaire here in the United States, house hack a couple times. In 30 years, you're a millionaire. It's guaranteed. It's almost no problem, especially in Austin. You buy 3 house hacks in Austin and you don't sell those house hacks. What do you think they're going to be worth in 30 years paid off,
Yeah. Yeah. I think a $500,000 duplex in Austin right now in 30 years is worth $1 million.
Yeah.
So, if you buy 3, you'll have $3 million.
And paid off, all that cash flow is yours. So some great things there. Of course, there's some expenses. But, back to our initial question, can you house hack today? You really answered that question. And I've never seen a market that you can't house hack. But like you said, Connor, you really have to get more creative today to make it work. So now that we've covered the bigger question of can you house hack, let's get into the meat of how can you house hack right now? What's worked for you and what are you seeing work for your clients right now?
Hey guys, this is Jordan Moorhead here, and I wanted to ask if you could do a huge favor for me. If you could go leave a review for this podcast wherever you're listening to it, that would really help me get this into the hands of other people that are interested in information about Austin real estate investing, and I'd be able to help more people. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, so I was a little frustrated when I started looking to buy a house hack. I was actually a client of Jordan's. That's how we first met. And I wanted the other side to pay for my home mortgage, and I couldn't get it to work in fall of 2020. So I stumbled upon medium-term rentals, which is renting a furnished property out for 30-day minimums. So I figured out that, I could try this new strategy. I could see where it takes me. And ultimately, I was able to live for free in a duplex, in a 3-bed, 2-bath duplex by renting out a 2-bed, 1-bath unit. And so then once I moved out, I got the cash flow from the 3-bed, 2-bath and really propelled me forward. So that's kind of how I got started. I was frustrated that I couldn't get good rents in Austin because these property values just went up astronomically and the rents never caught up.
And they still haven't really caught up today. They've gone up a lot, so your long-term rents have gone up a lot. But what we found, and I think you're going to find this almost across the board, is generally, and do your research, we actually have a bunch of great content on how to find medium-term rents on our YouTube channel where Connor goes over how he finds medium-term rents, and you can use similar stuff to help find short-term rents. But generally, we find you get almost double the rent on a medium-term rental versus a long-term rental. And I would say a short-term rental done right is 2.5 to 3x for me. I think you could probably do better than that, but from what I've seen, and this is mostly with duplexes. So duplexes work really well with medium-term rentals that both Connor and I have found. I would say they probably don't work as well for short-term rentals, just because people with short-term rentals want a better experience. At least that has been my experience. By no means is that the rule, and maybe that's how I set mine up. And there's a lot of user error there that could be happening. But we've seen medium-term rentals really do extremely well here in Austin. And I don't know, Connor, the biggest question I get asked on a medium-term rental is, what's the vacancy like?
Yeah, so on my property, my vacancy has been around 10 to 15%. So yeah, 85% occupied with double the rent revenue. And then there's also some extra expenses you need to think about. You have to pay for all utilities and internet. And on a typical, let's say 3-bed, 2-bath house, that comes around $400 a month, maybe $500 a month, somewhere in there, depending on how big the house is, how often it's used, things like that. So, for double the rent, $300, $400, $500 extra expenses, it's totally worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you do see a little bit of, you see some seasonality in the occupancy, I would say, but more so the seasonality is the type of guests that I've seen. is in the winter, we get all sorts of people who just don't want to be up north, don't want to be in Chicago or the Northeast, and they come down to Austin to work remotely. We always get the traveling workers, that kind of stuff. But in the summer, it's mostly what we've had is mostly people moving and working.
Yeah. People looking to buy or rent. Basically, they're just relocating to Austin. One trick that I found to really be successful in the medium-term rental market is being pet-friendly. So we had 1 unit pet-friendly, 1 unit not pet-friendly, and the pet-friendly one is booked 3 months out, 24/7. It's just been killing it. And then the non-pet-friendly one, was vacant 2 weeks out. So the lead time was significantly smaller. Ultimately, we just ended up making it pet-friendly just to get someone in there. And we have to go in and probably buy some new furniture that's more pet-friendly because learned that lesson the hard way. I won't go into that right now. But the supply of pet-friendly medium-term rentals is extremely low. So if possible, definitely cater to that because everyone in Austin has a dog.
Yeah.
And people love traveling with their dogs nowadays. So definitely something to think about.
Yeah. No, I think it's huge. And I know we try to travel with our dog sometimes. And for short-term rentals, too, the amount that you can find that are pet-friendly is extremely low. And you'll generally pay more because you want to have your dog with you. Of course, with a medium-term rental, you want to have your dog with you. So I think the advice would be just set it up from the get-go that this medium-term rental you're setting up is going to be pet-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
We've had really good luck on our medium-term rentals, setting them up no differently than they would be a short-term rental. So making it nice, putting a guidebook in there because these people want to have fun too, and they want to have an experience. And they want a screen for their computer and they want fast internet and all that kind of stuff. But if you only have that and it's just a poorly furnished medium-term rental that doesn't look good, you're not going to get as good of bookings or as booked as often. So I think we've had that work extremely well, making it look great, providing everything they might possibly need in every circumstance. And then, of course, putting that work from home station up there where somebody can plug in their laptop with an HDMI cord, has fast internet, has a mouse, that kind of stuff, and it just helps a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Connor, you've actually done a lot more short-term rental than I have. How have you seen short-term rental work out for people in house hacking, and what would be your recommendations if you're looking to do a short-term rental on house hacking?
Yeah, so I've had a couple clients that turn their properties into short-term rentals. Some of them, it's a duplex. They rent out the other side short-term, or what's even more creative is people are taking their single-family homes and they're basically making a dwelling unit inside the single-family home. I have these clients in Round Rock that they put up a wall they basically, as you walk in, they had like a sitting room and then immediately behind it was like a dining room. So just 2 rooms back to back, and they put up a wall and then made a door on the back, and then they have just a studio apartment with a little kitchenette.
Have you wanted to be part of GoBundance, the tribe of millionaires, but just haven't hit that millionaire status yet? Well, now you can, not even being a millionaire, by joining our new program, GoBundance Emerge. My name's Jamie Gruber, creator of GoBundance Emerge and member of the GoBundance community. And now you can join. GoBundance.com/emerge. GoBundance.com/emerge. Use code Jordan for $100 off this 12-week goal-setting program and mastermind that'll propel you to being a whole life millionaire.
So they're getting, $100 a night, $120 a night, and they're 75% occupied in Round Rock.
Wow.
So they're killing it. So that's a great example of a way to be creative and still being able to house hack in the Austin metro. And you can be more creative if you target these properties that aren't duplexes that, maybe have some quirks to them that could work for a different purpose. So you could actually get them cheaper than maybe a typical duplex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, we actually have a great podcast episode. I'll try to think of the name of the guest, but where, what Connor's talking about is essentially just making a mother-in-law apartment in your house. So you buy a single family house, and Devin on our team has something similar to this. But you buy a single family house, you section off or you convert an area to a little studio apartment or a 1-bedroom apartment, and you rent it out. Devin did a great one.
Yeah.
He has an ADU. It was a garage. Now
Yeah.
it's turned into a really nice apartment.
Yeah. His was just a converted garage where they used it as like a master bedroom, bathroom.
Mhm.
And he just walled it off and put in a kitchenette. Devin's is probably one of the nicest Airbnbs. He did a great job designing it. He really crushes it. He put it up right before ACL, and I think he told me he was getting like $300 a night.
Yeah.
With 2 beds, for over ACL. So he's killing it.
Yeah. And I think, you really spoke to it there too. He went the extra mile in designing it and make it look really attractive. And that's what people want. When you're designing an Airbnb or when you're putting an Airbnb up, it used to work that you just put a bed somewhere and you put maybe a cheap IKEA dresser and you were good to go. And people said, okay, I'm going to pay for this because it's cheaper than a hotel room. Now, they're not so much cheaper than a hotel room, and there's not really too much of a reason to book an Airbnb unless you have a pet or unless you have a group or unless you want a really cool experience.
Yeah.
And I've just seen that over the years with myself traveling. I'm saying, hey, I'm traveling to XYZ area. Where do I want to stay? Do I want to get an Airbnb or do I want to get a hotel? And I'm like, hey, I just want to get off the road. I'm by myself. I'm going to get in a hotel, make it easy. Maybe there's somebody that's going to clean it the next morning. But when you're putting an Airbnb together, it's so important to remember that you're not competing with the hotel necessarily. You're competing with the person, somebody that's looking for somewhere to go with their pet, or somebody that's looking for somewhere to go with their 6 friends.
Yeah.
A big group of people, or, like we talked about, somebody like Devin's place that just wants a really cool experience. Like they want to feel like, wow, I had a great time. I went to this place. He put up like a whole feature wall and neon lights and just an amazing design. And you walk in and you're saying, wow, such a cool experience that I'm doing here. I'm so glad I'm in Austin for ACL, staying in this really cool Airbnb. Who cares that it's a converted garage ADU? This is the coolest thing ever. And you really have to think that way when you're putting an Airbnb together. Is what's going to make me stand out? Don't walk around with your iPhone and take pictures. Get professional pictures done. Make it look great. Make it look great online. I know you guys with your medium-term rentals will change the titles every so often.
Yeah, exactly. We have like a document of like 4 or 5 different titles, and then we go in once a week, twice a week, and we just alternate titles.
That often.
Yeah, so that's definitely a way to go. And then going back to your point, you're talking about Devin's, how Devin's is really unique. His technically would be a competitor to mine. We're about a mile apart, both 2 beds, 1 bath. And I can tell you, if I was looking to book, I would book Devin's 100% of the time. So you might think like, I just am going to make it like an apartment. It doesn't need to be super fancy. But now that I'm thinking about it, he probably put in like an extra, $500 of little tiny things that really added up. And I would book his over mine. So something to think about, even though it is $500 and when you're setting up, you're really trying to save money. He's probably going to be occupied more than I am. And he's going to get a higher rate because his is just has the wow factor that's really, really going on Airbnb right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think going for that wow factor and having something unique is really important. So, we've talked about Airbnb, we've talked about medium-term rentals. Before we move on here, can you talk about some tips and tricks you've used to get booked more often? I know everybody's worried about, hey, what if I don't have enough bookings or, all the vacancy? What have you done to help get places booked more often?
Yeah, so first it starts with marketing. People think you just list it on Airbnb and you're good. There's really 4 places I try to target: Airbnb, Vrbo, Furnished Finder, which is really heavily for travel nurses, and then Facebook groups. And there are Facebook groups for subletting apartments, for apartments for rent. bedrooms for rent, things like that. So we list it in all 4 places, and that's really how we've tried to cast as wide of a net as possible, because people surprisingly really use Facebook to find anything these days. Mm-hmm. So, we've had a booking off of Facebook. Just someone saw it, and it's a little more work because you do have to write up a lease and go that route, but it's worth it to get someone in there. It's not, if someone's staying for 90 days, it's not that much of an inconvenience.
Yeah. I just had my first booking off Furnish Finder too.
Mm-hmm.
Previously they had been looking too soon. I was booked out too long, but this guy actually came in looking a few months out. So I was able to rent it out to a Furnish Finder guy. Now, of course, the nice thing about Furnish Finder is you pay them the fee up front.
Yeah.
It's not a lot. It's like $100 or something.
Yeah, $100 a year.
$100 a year, where that would be Airbnb's fee or more for every booking.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to make more off that booking than I would have off if that guy went to Airbnb and booked.
Yeah. Airbnb's fee, so they charge the guest, I want to say 8 to 11%, somewhere in there, and they charge the host 3%. Mm-hmm. So let's just use round numbers and 10%, and that's probably on the low end. And we rent our medium-term rentals out for like $3,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So that's $300 a month for 3 months. That's kind of what our average stay is. So that's $900 that goes to Airbnb for one guest, and you're saving yourself and the tenant that money.
Yeah.
So you definitely can make a lot more if you target these other websites and just write up a lease yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that's where you're talking about. It takes a little extra work to make your Furnish Finder listing look great or to put it on a Facebook group. But if your goal in house hacking is to live for as cheaply as possible, then you want to do that. So put the little extra work in. Just a few other cool, house hacking-esque ways that we've seen it work really well here right now is, stuff like live-in flips, whether it's a duplex or a single family. Those aren't selling as quickly here in today's market towards the end of 2022 because the people that are buying, there are less buyers. The people that are buying are looking for stuff that's already fixed up usually, or they're looking for an enormous discount on something that needs to be fixed up. So you as a home buyer can go into, hey, I'll take it. It needs some work. I'll take this property and, I'll pay you less, but I'm not going to just gouge your eyes out trying to get a huge deal on it. Yes. And you can make a lot of money. If you live in a property for 2 out of 5 years and sell it, you don't pay any taxes. So live-in flips can work really well for that. You can also keep the property. So you live in it, you fix it up, then you keep it, and you've got a great fixed-up rental that you got a great deal on. That strategy has worked very well for me on a lot of house hacks. And then like Connor talked about, adding an ADU or adding a mother-in-law suite can work really, really well because...
Jordan Moorhead here. Really quickly, wanted to tell you a couple other ways you can keep track of us. If you want to listen to all these podcasts and ask questions, the Moorhead team on YouTube is the best place to be. And then Austin Real Estate Investors on Meetup is a great place to keep track of all of our meetups we have going on.
You're adding something extra to bring in rental income.
Yeah, absolutely. There's one more I want to add to your list is rent by the room, but with new build construction. So, we're on a lot of builders buyer lists. Builders send out emails to realtors constantly trying to get people to buy their homes. We got one this week that they're buying down the interest rate to 3.99%. And they already dropped the price of these homes 20% off of their peak of earlier this year. So I saw these properties that are coming in, they're in Kyle, San Marcos area. They're around $300,000. As a long-term rental, you're almost breaking even. It's right on the cusp of breaking even. If you do rent by the room, you can definitely, make that as you move out because rent by the room, you get higher rents than long-term rent. So if you're willing to live a little bit further out, you can get the cheaper price of the new builds. You have no capex and maintenance, and you can get an interest rate in the 3s. Like, I don't know when we're going to see interest rates in the 3s anytime soon. Until inflation is probably in the 3s.
Yeah,
is when it'll come back down. But if you're willing to do that, then it's absolutely a great option.
Yeah. And, to a little bit off topic with the tangent there, but these new builds are such a great deal right now because they are willing to buy your interest rate down. They're giving you a great deal. They're giving you everything else you want. Maybe they're paying for closing costs. They're just throwing the whole kitchen sink at everything and saying, hey, take it all. Take it all. We have around 11 months of inventory, I think is the most recent stat that I saw. And now they're willing to sell to investors. So if you're an investor, you're a house hacker, look at new construction right now. They're great deals. Like Connor said, they almost work as a long-term rental, just the whole house rented out. But as an investor, you can rent out by the room too, and make really good money. So just a quick recap for our episode here. Does house hacking work right now? Absolutely, house hacking works right now. I've not yet seen a time where house hacking doesn't work. I've seen so many times where it's more difficult than others. And you have to get creative with how you're doing it. So house hacking absolutely works. Ways you can make house hacking work are short-term rental, medium-term rental, rent by the room. Rent by the room in new construction is a great way to go about that. You can get your rates bought down to make the rate something more affordable that works. And I think that's a big lever. Doing live-in flips and ADUs. But, the biggest, again, just to drive home the points of house hacking, the biggest reason you want a house hack is that you save money while you're living there and you get a rental property when you move out that's cash flowing, provided you bought it correctly.
For a low down payment.
For a super low down payment. Yeah. So you're not going to buy rentals any way cheaper than this. You have to live somewhere. You're going to get the best rate. You're going to save money while you're there. I think that it makes sense for anybody. There's just so many different ways you can do it. It might not make sense for everybody to buy a fourplex and live in one unit. But if you want a house hack, come talk to us. We will help you figure out the way that works for you, help you save money, help you cash flow when you move out, and get an appreciating asset that's going to pay itself off and give you tax benefits. Thanks, guys. And again, always reach out to us at themoorheadteam.com. Connor Olsen, Jordan Moorhead just reach out to us at themoorheadteam.com, and it's Connor at themoorheadteam.com.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys. Make sure to follow us on Instagram. I am at Jordan_Moorhead.
I'm at Olsen.Connor.
All right, guys. Have a great day.